Hello, and welcome to another Rambling review from Adventures in TV Land. For this Rambling review, I'm going to talk about Stranger Things, Season 5, Part 1. Now, Stranger Things was first released over 9 years ago, in 2016. So that averaging out, it's almost 2 years between each of the seasons. When Stranger Things came out, I will let you know, I was blown away by it. It nailed what the 80s felt like as a kid for the most part growing up in the 1980s. In that first season, just, the furniture and the houses, the way the homes looked, the way the kids even acted for the most part. There were a few things that were a little bit different. The F-bomb was used a little bit too often from what was, occurred back then. It happened every once in a while, but it didn't happen as frequently as was made out to be in that first season. And there were a few other things, minor things, but overall, it really caught the feel, the vibe of what it was to be, especially a teenage boy growing up in the 1980s. Now, fast forward, here we are 9 years later in real time. It's only been 4 years in the time of Hawkins, Indiana, where most of Stranger Things is set. And the most obvious thing is how much older these kids are. These, of course, when I was in the 80s, you had movies and TV. You had kids who were being played by 30-year-old men and women. So, it's not that hard of a stretch. It's always been, there's often been adults portraying teenagers. Anyway, but these kids have grown quite a bit. Some of these kids look quite different from the way they looked in the end of season 4. They have, as much as they've done with makeup and special effects, they've aged. They're older than what they are pretending to be. There's that. That's the obvious thing out of the way. With that said, season 5 starts off. It's supposed to be 18 months after when season 4 ended. Now, each of the Stranger Things seasons have kind of ended on a sort of a little bit of a cliffhanger. They've had some sort of little twist at the end. Season 4 especially ended on a bit of, it's like, oh my gosh, how is this going to end? The first 10 minutes or so of this, well, I guess, yeah, about 10 minutes, because there's a 5-minute flashback, and then it fast forward to the 1987, the present day in the Stranger Things world of Hawkins. It's explained what has happened in that interlude. So the people that were there in Hawkins when all the stuff went down, when all this ash was falling from the sky, they've been basically quarantined in their town. They haven't been able to leave for 18 months. There's supply trucks that come every week that bring supplies in. The military has barricaded the town, surrounded the town with a fence, and they've covered up there's these giant holes that were in the ground, these giant crevices that made a cross and intersected in the center of town. Well, those have been covered up by these steel plates, and life has gone on. Kids are going to school, parents, I guess, are going to work, and they are quarantined. They can't really leave the town. They can't leave like that. But other than that fact that they haven't been able to leave the town in 18 months, there's not a whole lot else that's changed, except for the only other big thing is that there's this huge military presence now. The military has moved in, and they have taken over that inner center of the town where all the 4 crevices where they all met. And they've made it a base there. They've made it a military base. So essentially the town has become a military base. You soon find out things going on. The people who are in the know of what actually happened, they're still in their campaign to make sure Vecna is dead. They know he's not dead, even though he was burned to a crisp and fell out of a 2-story window in the previous season. They know he's not dead. He's still out there somewhere, and he's going to be causing some sort of havoc because he's the one responsible, at least that's what they believe, for the upside down and everything that has happened and for so many deaths that have occurred in the community. And so that's the basic plot line. Vecna, apparently, he is still out there, and so the setup, these first 4 episodes, is with them trying to hunt him down and deal with whatever his plan is, or trying to figure out what it is. The first couple episodes, the first 2 of these 4 episodes in this first part of season 5, they are kind of slow. It's a very slow build, in all honesty. Slower than even in the past seasons. The acting's really good, as always. everyone on the cast, they're not kids anymore, but the actors and actresses portraying the kids in the show, they do a wonderful job. The newcomers do a wonderful job. It's just, I mean, it's really, really well done that way. Now, although the first 2 episodes are kind of slow, it quickly picks up in the 3rd episode. And the 4th episode is very fast paced. It's kind of bam, 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 until it builds to this climax and this kind of a cliffhanger. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed season 5. I'm not going to say, because I mean, it's only halfway through, not even really halfway through time wise, even though there were 4 episodes. I enjoyed it. I don't know if it's the best of the seasons, but they are bringing things together. It seems like they're, beginning to wrap things up. Things are building to this epic conclusion, except we're not exactly for sure what this conclusion would be. There's some questions that are still out there. I mean, Vecna, he's still alive, but is Vecna the only evil person out there? Is he the only person in the Upside Down, the only one pulling strings? Is there someone more powerful than Vecna? That's a possibility. That could be. And there could be somebody else out there or whatever. So that's in there. There's some things that tie in. I mean, his origin as Henry Creel, I believe his last name was, it's kind of toyed with a little bit, because he's I guess really supposed to be as old as Hopper and Joyce are, and he was much younger. So the fact that he was about as old as Joyce, because there's a scene that flashbacks to the 1950s briefly, and Henry Creel is in there, and it ties in with that. I don't get that aspect of it. I'm not for sure, because I didn't get that he was quite that old. The most glaring thing that I found about the season that just kind of seemed off was Dustin's character. Dustin's kind of the nerdy, kind of almost like some ways the soul of the group, of the 4 group of friends. He's a little bit more nerdy than the other ones. He's also much more intelligent, but his character is a little bit different in this part of the season, at least the first part so far. He's very angry. He's very bitter. Granted, I mean, he had a really good friend die in the previous season, and he's kind of tired about them pretending what, the story is, that there was this massive earthquake. That's why the military is there, but that everybody knows, not everybody, but a lot of people know that's not the case. That's not what's going on. And he's tired of it. He knows the truth. He wants people to know the truth. But, the truth, at least right now, can't be revealed. So maybe it's because of that. He's tired of that, tired of pretending. Dustin is he's not as fun-loving. He's not as funny as he was in the previous seasons. He's very, very angry, very bitter. It's a change of character, a dramatic change of character. It's hard to say, because they've gone through some dramatic things, but his character shift, unless it starts to change back towards the last part of the season, it's quite dramatic. I mean, it's almost too much of a character shift, a character change, but kind of perhaps lines up. I don't know. It's hard to say. With that said, that makes me worry about Dustin, because I'm not for sure he's going to make it out of this season. We know there's some deaths, some big deaths that are going to be happening in the upcoming episodes. And I think Dustin's time might be numbered. But overall, I did enjoy the season, the first part, and I'm looking forward to, part 2 and the finale, and to see how this all wraps up and ends. So this has been another rambling review of Stranger Things, Season 5, Part 1 from Adventures in TV Land. I thank you for watching. Until next time, that's a wrap.